2025 has already shown itself to be a very powerfully transformative year. And especially here in the last few months of the year, I've noticed an amping up of the energies of awakening and lots of transformation. Lots of really powerful things happening. The energy is definitely shifting. And I want to share with you what is to come, what I've seen in visionary states in 2026. So hello, if this is your first time here, my name is Allison Holly, and I am a channel and an awakening guide. And I take it as my mission to share with all of you what I receive in my channeling states to give you a better picture of what is to come and help us all prepare. So in this video, I bring back my friend Chris, who I just want to send another big shout out to my amazing friend Chris. He asks the perfect questions to bring through just the most powerful messages. So I get together with my friend Chris again, and we're exploring some of the things, some of the big topics that are going to be happening in 2026. Most notably in this video, we go into these sort of false showcases of UFOs that the government is going to be putting on, and how to tell the difference between artificial intelligence and organic. In this next year, we have a lot of things happening that could potentially be very confusing if we're not deeply grounded into ourselves, our sovereignty, and our eternal nature, and really starting to trust our higher nature in being able to differentiate between what is artificial and what is created to distract us versus what is real, what is organic, and what's happening as part of the ascension process. There's some really powerful shifts and changes coming, and I present this video to you to help you be able to start to prepare, really start to come into your own personal knowing and trust, and be able to navigate these energies as we move forward. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, because I do offer a lot of different videos of this nature. I also go live and offer live streams in the moment of receiving information to be able to share it with you. And please leave a comment below with what deeply resonates with you and what you have personally experienced and witnessed and seen, so that we can all share in our understanding. All right, enjoy.
So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people watching this video may have about this next phase of contact? Meaning, what common beliefs does the mind hold about how it should look that may actually make people miss what's going on?
This is such a good question. And I immediately, when you were asking it, knew, and yet I wanted to go deeper with it, which is, a microcosm of what's coming through, which is, it's the mind. And to go deeper in this, it's sort of looking at how we externalize our power with everything. The externalization of the power is thinking, even when it's subconscious or unconscious, that something outside of ourselves is going to act upon us to create something, which is easy to think and easy to believe when we're talking about being visited by our star family in physical form. So there's an undercurrent of belief that it's going to be something that finally gives us that moment of, see, it was true all along, which is why a lot of people don't understand that. What I have seen is that it's going to be obvious, but not everybody's going to see it. In fact, a large majority won't see it because, and when I say it, I mean visitation, starships. A large majority won't let themselves see it, won't be in the consciousness or the frequencies where they can perceive it. And the expectation that is blocking a lot of us from seeing it is that we've forgotten that we're gods. And when we forget that we're gods, we want to externalize our power. We want, even if it's not conscious, we want something to come in and save us. We want the government to shape up so that it can feel safe, so that we can be safe. We want our star family to come in so that we feel validated, so that we feel safe, so that something takes us away from here, etc., 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 or makes this place a better place, or makes the starship safe to land. Something like a parental figure. We're looking for that feeling of something coming in and making it better for us. Now, here's the thing, that is actually what's going to happen, but it's not what's going to happen. So, what I mean by that is they are coming in to provide teachings to drastically shift consciousness, to assist in powerfully, quickly changing paradigms, powerfully, quickly ending old paradigms. But there's a gap in there, and kind of honestly ties into what we were talking about manifestation earlier. It will only happen when we don't need it to happen. It happens when we don't need it to happen. We perceive it when we don't need it. When we're grasping for it, it doesn't work. Something that I introduced recently in a video, just today, uh, but this will be shared at a different date, was the idea that in 2026, there's going to be a lot of propaganda, projection. I've even seen fake UFO projections that are really meant to excite people but distract people. Projections put out in the sky in the way that, like, if you're going to a concert and somebody projects laser lights into the sky and everybody thinks it's a UFO, that will be happening as a way to honestly just kind of mess with people. And it's a way to maintain control. So if, the global elite, we call them, certain factions of the global elite, or even just people who are uh, desperate for attention and have moral deficits within, who just like to create a stir so that they feel that they're doing something on the planet, that they're doing something that matters, even if it's in a very negative way. They will be doing things simply to mess with people. But as I shared today, that won't actually matter for people who are, by the time that that's happening in larger scale, we will be anchored in. A vision that I had earlier this year, at the beginning of 2025, is that by the end of the year, we were going to be so strong. When I looked at what we looked like energetically, we looked like just absolute strong, like warrior types, but it was not, I'm not really, there's no such thing as war, meaning that at a certain viewpoint, all is one. I don't mean to discount the suffering that people go through, but I'm not also in belief of being a warrior, not even a light warrior, because when we are really in those frequencies, there's nothing to fight. That being said, on this density layer, there is a certain element of resistance that allows us to feel physicality sort of pushing against physicality. That's an element of this dimensional realm of being physical. And with that being said, we have internally gone through things that have made us so strong and so perceptive that when these things happen, when there's these projections, these light projections, these false UFO projections that are just really meant to capture our attention or create fear and control, we've already had practice in not being duped, and just we'll feel the frequency difference of it. It will be so obvious. The example that I use today is it'll be like little kids doing a magic trick, and we'll be like, that's cute. It's also not real, and it's very obvious. It's clear. When I started getting these visions that these projections were going to happen, it was from the place of attachment to visitation. So this all kind of comes together. When we project or when we other our power into something else in order to make us feel safe, in order to make us feel excited, to make us feel like we understand, like something's happening, when we do that, we put our power into something else. And when we put our power into something else, we have attachment. And that attachment makes us grasp for things so that we feel safe. It's a grasping, it's a holding, it's an attachment. And that is what creates the paradigm of these projections of things that are happening that are mirages. It's furthering the mirage. It's silly. That's what makes those kind of hold, is because we're so desperately looking for it. It is one thing to desire something. It's interesting how much of these teachings actually mirror manifestation. It's really fascinating because it's one thing to desire something. That is holy. That is beautiful. Desire is beautiful. Attachment to something is actually the belief that it is not happening. Attachment to something is a disempowering process, and it feels very similar to what we think of as desire. But desire is pure. Desire is actually wanting something and knowing that because you're God, it is already yours. And all of the processes that will make it yours physically are already activated the moment that you desire it. And whether that's a short or a long trajectory has many different factors applied to it. When it comes to star family contact, there is an element for many of us, myself included. This is why it was a dream actually. I had a dream where a neon starship came and visited and showed me two different projection screens. And these projection screens had very confusing messages on them. And I was so excited to see this starship, but it was made out of neon. It was not light code quality. It was like a neon gas station neon. It was exciting. It was like what you would see at a rave. It was not light codes. And when the UFO left, I started crying because I was so deeply internally at odds with myself. And I woke up from that dream realizing I'm too attached to the physical desire for this starship to appear. I'm too attached to it. And attachment means that I'm othering it, means that I'm giving my power away to it. It means that I'm somehow making this mean something about me. And so we can trust, one, that first contact is actually contact with ourselves. When we talk about contact with star family, first contact is with ourselves. I've said this in a different video, but I didn't use these words. The first step to making star family contact is to know that it's us. It's us. We are star family. And then the second step is to open up to the inevitable, not with attachment, but with knowing that it's always happening, that we're here, and that it's going to unfold in the most perfect way possible. The othering is what creates that feeling of the mirage, of grasping to anything that we can possibly see so that we can feel safe. Feel safe now.
I want to just go into one aspect of this. When we are receiving a lot of these external reflections, people vying for our attention, and we have options in terms of what story we
Mhm.
clue into, how can we uh, discern through our bodies, through our feelings?
Mm.
What sort of things can we tap into to help us decide if we are going in a direction towards truth?
Mm. There's a couple different parts to this. The first step is unconditional safety in the self. Because if we're going to get an accurate read on something, we can't be really operating from externalized safety, meaning we can't hang so much attachment onto if this doesn't work, if this isn't real, I will not feel safe because that's going to make our ability to perceive very faulty. If we're externalizing all of our power, all of our feelings of safety into something outside of ourselves, and the resulting experience of it either being what we call true or false somehow crushes us or devastates us, then we we have a very clouded perception. We won't be able to actually see it because what we don't understand about those moments is that we're already in fear. We're already in fear and we're trying to perceive something from that lens of fear. So if we don't feel safe within ourselves and we're trying to find something outside of ourselves to feel safe, we are looking at everything through the lens of fear. And there's a lot of volatility with that. So the first step is unconditional safety within the self. It means I don't need the government to make me feel safe. I don't need even this idea of star family visitation to make me feel like this is a safe place, like I'm okay in the world, like I'm okay with myself. We really do need to face those really big level mirrors now, because then when we get to, where this stuff is happening, we won't feel lost in it. We'll be like, oh, that's easy, actually. That's easy to perceive. The next part that was highlighted in your question when you asked it was um, to remind everyone that everything is true. What we're looking for is higher frequency truths. Something existing makes it true, something not existing makes it true. Everything is true because everything is. Um, what we're looking for is a higher frequency of truth. We're not even going to use sort of like capital T truth or lowercase t truth. We're not going to kind of use those delineations because um, that's the implication that one is better than the other. What we're actually looking at is holistic truth, expanded light frequencies. That is a bigger, that is a higher frequency truth. That is a more inclusive truth. When we go into higher frequencies, it includes more and more. We don't have duality. There's less separation. So when we go into these higher frequency realms, everything we see everything is true. And so what we're really looking for is, and this will help us differentiate what the projected realities are and what the higher frequency truth realities are. So yes, this is actually a starship versus this is a light show that's being put on to trick people. And the way that we discern that is, or let's include this. This is AI and this is organic. I love that we're talking about this right now because this is a year ago we wanted to talk about it.
Mhm.
So we'll be able to differentiate between organic and artificial because of the spectrum of light. We are not looking for true and false anymore. We are looking for the expanded spectrum of light to tell us that something is for us because it is of a higher frequency when it has more of the full spectrum of light activated within it. That's why when I saw these neon light ships, these neon starships that were false in my dreams, it was because they were made up. Uh, it didn't have the full spectrum of color. It was man-made. It was flat when we look at it multidimensionally. Now, there are going to be people who feel that they can't perceive in this way. They're going to hear this and think, well, I can't even tell, I'm colorblind. I can't, I can't tell what's real and what's not real. You can. So part of this is trusting. One, go back to safety, because find that internal safety that's not conditional on being able to tell if this is good or bad, because we're not playing that game anymore. We're playing the game of what holds the full spectrum of light. And that game is actually, once we get used to it, it's so easy. It's so easy. It does take some time getting used to it, though. And a lot of it is self-trust. Self-trust really means I feel safe within myself, knowing that I am an eternal being, knowing that this is all a big game, and I'm not unsafe just because I don't know what's going on. I am safe even though I don't know what's going on. I am safe in this. I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a reason. Whatever needs to make sense will make sense. And through centering in myself, connecting with nature, nature is really going to teach us a lot about how to identify these starships, because a lot of people think that starships are these really mechanical things, but actually they are light encoded. And that's because they exist multidimensionally. And that's why a lot of times we can't see them, because we are not perceiving those higher levels of light where we would be able to see a multidimensional ship. We're looking very literally a lot of times, and that's not where they exist. One, even if they do exist in the frequencies, and I've said this many times before, if they exist in the frequencies that we call physical, our minds filter out what we don't understand. So even if they exist in the densest layers of physical reality and it shows up right in front of our faces, there will still be many people who will totally disregard it, because their mind, meaning their ability to perceive something, they've totally filtered it out. That is their safety mechanism. If it's not something that I've already seen, I'm not going to see it. And then what we're really experiencing when we see these starships is, at times we do see them on the physical level. In fact, that's where we're coming into. We're going to see a lot of that, but it will always have a multidimensional factor to it. Meaning, even if it is only physical, which none of them are, because none of us are, even if it's purely physical, there would still be our ability to perceive. Now, what I was saying about nature teaching us how to see these starships is because when we spend time in nature, we start to witness the world from that greater spectrum of light, because all of the living organic world has a spectrum of light to it. It emanates a full spectrum of light. We can feel it living. We can feel the living within it. We can feel the light within it. Starships have this element of light. And so even though our minds might be telling us that we've got these mechanical things that are technologically far more advanced than humans, than we are right now, and that they're going to be these highly advanced technical systems, that's not actually what it is. We're seeing from such a flat perspective when we look at it that way. And what we're really going to be seeing is physical objects that have a multidimensional light emanating from them. And these beings as well, we're going to be seeing in multiple dimensions. So we will start to be able to perceive the beings who already walk among us, and that includes humans who are hybrids, who are star seeds. That includes people. That includes humans who look like humans, who have been raised as humans. We're going to start to see, oh, yeah, what you're saying about you being a star seed, or what you saying about you being a walk-in or a hybrid, that's true. I can see it. My mind is not limited to this pure perspective, very linear thinking. So we're going to start to see each other as our star family, just as we see ourselves as our star family. And then we will also see beings, many beings who have always been here. Wow, this is cool. I'm seeing us see people who have always been here, but because of the mirage, it really is sort of like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like these are not the droids you're looking for. They've been able to shield the physical features that they hold, and it's very easy to do. What I'm hearing is it's they've been walking amongst us, but it's very easy for them to shield their physical features because the human mind is like super ridiculously impressionable. And we have really strong filters. We don't want to see what we don't believe in already. And so we're going to actually start to see these beings who have been walking among us for a very long time. Isn't that wild? It's like
That's
we'll
so cool. It's
be
like Men in Black.
it is. Ugh, I swear they've been telling us all along. It's so silly. It's so silly. It really is like that. We will be we will be next to somebody and they will reveal the true form that they hold. It reminds me of, if anybody listening to this has ever done mirror gazing or eye gazing with someone. So when you do it in the mirror, it's a little trippy and some people feel like scary about it. I love eye gazing though. Mirror gazing is also, it's just a little volatile because mirrors are also portals, and so if people don't understand the dynamics of it, it can feel scary. But when you do it with a person, everybody's different. um I used to actually like do eye gazing at different workshops in my book tour, and it's so powerful because you sit and you simply gently gaze into your partner's eyes, whoever it is. And each person is different. So there would be people that I would sit down with and eye gaze with, and they would rapidly, like, boom, 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 different face, different face, different face, different face. It was like I was seeing all of their multidimensional incarnations, lifetimes. Sometimes you look at somebody and their face almost starts melting into a different form. I'm being shown that it's a bit like that. And with all of these things, oh God, this is so good. This is why it's going to look weird next year, because we're moving into conscious sixth dimensionality, which is all the stuff I've been playing with and talking about: bilocation, telekinesis, teleportation, all of that. We're letting go of this idea that the physical is so firm. And this is why all of this is coming in. We're going to be standing next to someone and we'll be able to see through the mirage projection that they've been putting out. And we'll be able to see their true form, in their physical form. It's like they've just been putting out a screen in front so that we wouldn't be scared. They're loving. They're just doing work. They're interplanetary beings.
So there, I imagine there are a lot of people watching this very strongly desiring their connection to their star families and have not experienced what they think contact should look like. And I imagine that particularly those who struggle with perfectionism, may start to create
Mm,
stories in the mind that they are doing something wrong. What
mm.
support can we offer to those individuals?
Know that where there's a wall, there's a doorway somewhere else. So if you feel like you're not making contact, you might be really attached to it looking a certain way. If you feel like you're not making contact with your star family, you might feel like I really am like I can't channel at all. It's not working. I hear nothing. Well, then play with your dreams. Go into dream time shifting. Uh, maybe if you feel called, work with plant medicine. Um, there are so many different ways that you can start to enter that with yourself. Draw. Um, there is not a one size fits all with any of this. There are going to be people who come into star family contact through their dreams in very powerful ways. There will be people who, from an external ego perspective, don't look to be anything special at all. And they are every single night being visited by their star family, and they're totally not aware of it. There are going to be a thousand different ways, billions of different ways that we can come into this connection. If you have a desire, it will be fulfilled, but let go of the attachment of what that needs to look like. Truth is truly stranger than fiction. If you're attached to the way that something needs to look, it's your mind. And that mind, with that attachment, is creating the very block that is keeping you from seeing what's already happening. It's already happening everywhere. Use sound frequencies to help your mind expand, to help move you out of mental paradigms that if you feel stuck, use sound. Sound is a really, really good one. And sound and nature are two areas where you can enter them very organically, meaning you don't have to feel like if I go out in the woods, is this fake? Is this a projection? You can go out in the woods and connect with nature, and you're really having that depth of experience. You can play music at home and know that it's organic. You can get a singing bowl. You can get, tuning forks and chimes and meaning find ways that you can access these tools that will help you shift your frequency without constantly externalizing it. If you're really attached to this idea of connecting with star families and you're looking at videos 24 hours a day, that's probably one, it's not very healthy. And two, it's going to kind of tweak your mind to, really externalize this experience. So go back to the organic layers of it. Just go stargazing. Let yourself connect in all of the ways. There's sort of this, to go back to the projections that are going to be happening pretty strongly next year. Those only work because we're desperate for something important, quote unquote, to happen. And so we're really seeking, we're really like grasping to things outside of ourselves. So when we go within, when we experience the organic aspects of our human experience, we get a bit more grounded, we get a bit more safe within our body, we get a bit more calm about the whole thing. And that's actually when so much happens. And then when it happens, we're not all tweaked out about it. We get to experience it with love and with joy. Um, yeah, it does feel like there's a real call to go into the organic side of life, to really balance that. If nothing else, really balance all of this technological expression and creativity that we're experiencing in our world, really balance it with nature and know when to take a break. Know when to heal your brain because we'll need that. Get good at connecting with yourself, your heart, the earth, the grounded aspects of ourselves. If you feel like you can't trust something, just ground. Just ground. Don't worry about if you can trust something or not. Just back away from it and get grounded because it will make sense when you go to the organic nature of life again, when you connect to that true self. You will start to be informed with that full spectrum and it will be clear. It will be so clear. It'll be so clear. Remember, and I'll just end it on this, you can't be created or destroyed. At the very most true, expansive level of all of life is that everybody is going to die, and yet we go on. We continue to exist. We're, in that sense, we are eternal. And so releasing the attachment throughout this whole process, allowing ourselves to get really, really safe within that knowing of our eternal nature, and then knowing how to return to the beauty of the organic self and the organic earth. And this will help us to navigate the next couple years. There's a transition that's happening right now, which is why I say the next couple years, because technological advances will continue and we will be adapted to a higher frequency so that it all makes a lot more sense. But there's a juncture over the next couple years where we're still really trying to make sense of it. And there's just a lot. It really does look very strange next year when I look at it. It just looks like there's a lot of weird. So this is why it's important to do this work now, because later on the work will be working through us. We won't be so um, fearful and fragmented. We'll know ourselves in a much more expanded way. And that will make this all a bit easier. But for now, really practice returning to the heart, getting grounded, going into the organic nature of life. And if you feel fragmented, if you don't know what to trust, back up, get grounded, and know that you're eternal.